Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. On behalf of North American Vaishnavi Ministry, I have the good fortune of speaking with Her Grace Sadhvi Devi Dasi. This is an interview series titled The Bond of Love, Srila Prabhupada and His Daughters. So today I have the good fortune of speaking with Her Grace Sadhvi Devi Dasi. Her Grace Sadhvi Devi Dasi.
Hare
Welcome.
Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Her Grace Sadhvi Devi Dasi joined the movement in Montreal in April of 1973. She received initiation in November of 1973 and a second initiation in 1974. She came from a devoted Catholic family. Her father taught religion in school for 40 years, and they chanted on the rosary every night and went to the Mass very often. As a teenager, she had a lot of unanswered questions. She was a student in college and was always wondering about the serious problems people were suffering from. She asked a few priests, and they did not know, so she prayed to God, asking, "What do you want me to do with my life?" At a spiritual fair, she heard kirtan and she told her friend, "That's it." She was reading Bhagavad Gita in French, but it was not clear to her. A devotee then gave her Bhagavad Gita as it is in English, and the photos revealed so much about what she wanted to know. She had a very vivid dream of Srila Prabhupada, and 2 weeks later, by his mercy, she began living in the temple. She stayed, and by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and the holy name and the devotees, she is still practicing and is very grateful about it. Hare Krishna. Thank you for coming on this interview series. We're very grateful to you for taking out time. So, I just want to mention that on this book, Sadhvi Prabhu's entry is on page 449. So, if I may ask you, uh, what is your favorite memory of Srila Prabhupada?
My favorite memory was the first time I went to India in Mayapur in 1975. Srila Prabhupada, by then I understood much better English and Srila Prabhupada's accent. And he was giving this class, and I was taking notes. And he was saying, if you want the mercy of Krishna, then you have to have the mercy of Srimati Radharani. If you want the mercy of Srimati Radharani, you have to have the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. If you want the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, you beg for the mercy of Lord Nityananda. And for the mercy of Lord Nityananda, to get the mercy of Lord Nityananda, you have to approach all those Jagai and Madhais. And by then, it went right to my heart. Because by then, I had done a year and a half of Sankirtan. And it really, Sankirtan those days, we did it like 8 hours a day, And it really touched my heart very deeply. And it gave me a sense that I want to do this. I want to do this for the rest of my life.
Very profound. Could you share with us, how did you feel when you were in Srila Prabhupada's presence?
I also in 1975, I was just a little brahmachari. There was all these sannyasis around Srila Prabhupada. So it was pretty much, it was a wall of sannyasis around him. But I've always been sort of perceptive of more subtle vibrations. And feel his presence so intensely, even though there was so many devotees around him. And I could feel its purity. And I could feel the dirt in my heart. And it was like, like hot and cold together. It creates like when you have a hot pan and you put it in cold water, it's such a reaction. So that reaction was so intense that I could only cry and cry and cry. And those tears were I felt they were cleansing my heart.
Mm.
And that's how I felt when I met Srila Prabhupada.
Wow. I'll keep that in mind, the hot pan and cold water. It'll remind me of you every time. uh, what was your favorite quality of Srila Prabhupada? I think one you mentioned was the purity, but is there something you could share?
His mercy, his mercy was so broad, and his mercy was enveloping the whole world. He presented Krishna consciousness in such a way that it can be approached by everyone, and everyone can make a little spiritual advancement or a lot of spiritual advancement. And the way that he sacrificed his life to give us mercy is definitely my favorite quality of Srila Prabhupada. Yes. The most beautiful person.
Most beautiful person. It's been more than 50 years. So the question that comes to our mind is, what about Srila Prabhupada convinced you to serve him, to dedicate your life, even now after so many years?
Well, his mission is so, so, so important.
Mm.
It's the most important mission on earth, really, because the world, everyone is suffering because of separation from Krishna, and separation from serving Krishna and loving Krishna. Like, I was brought up Catholic, and little catechism, it says that the goal of life, I still remember, I learned it when I was 7, I still remember that the goal of life is to know God, serve God, and love God. That's perfect. But when you ask, who is God? What does he do? What does he say? It's very vague. And how can you love someone if you don't know what they look like, what their activities are, what they eat, who are their friends? I mean, your love is so vague. It doesn't satisfy the heart. But Srila Prabhupada, he brought Krishna, the most wonderful person. And he told us, he gave us a Krishna book, told us of Krishna's activities, gave us Bhagavad Gita, who answers so many important questions. Like, I was studying to be a welfare worker because I'm always concerned. I don't like to see people suffer. It hurts me. So I was thinking I'm going to try to help. But then one of the devotees told me in Krishna book that the best welfare activity is to give Krishna consciousness to people. And that resonated with me because one day I was walking, when I was a student, I was walking in Montreal, and they had given some apartments for people that were destitute. And guess what? Half of the windows were broken. And it really did a big shock on me. I mean, what is the use of mundane welfare? There is some use, but it's very temporary. That mode of ignorance that need welfare um, don't always appreciate it, and it doesn't really solve the real problem. But Krishna consciousness solves the real problem because it goes to the root, and it answers every question, like that main question about what if God is good and just, how is it that a young baby who wasn't done anything is born in America with a silver spoon in their mouth, and another one in Africa dying of hunger? And nobody could answer it from the people, the Catholic priests. I did a lot of research, and nobody answered that question. And Srila Prabhupada, in his Bhagavad Gita as it is, explained that we are souls, and that we do, we have so many lives, and it just, everything fell in place. And it was such a relief for me. And I want to facilitate for the rest of my life, facilitate the distribution of this knowledge and facilitate the Gurukula, because the children, we have very nice Gurukula here. And the children are so happy to go to school. And it's only 20, that's their maximum capacity at this point. But I can see the children are doing so beautiful, and they will be leaders and they will help this world. So I want to dedicate myself to be an assistant in the book distribution, in the prashada distribution, in the Gurukula, as much as I can. I've been praying for many, many years that I will be able to do Sankirtan until I'm 75 years old. So now I have only 2.5 years left. But then I will renegotiate and ask Krishna for some more. because Srila Prabhupada is given such a good gift, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I want to share it. It will help more than anything else.
Hearing you speak about the mood and the mission, I was thinking the children that you serve in the Gurukula, they are so fortunate to have you. Through you, I think they can feel Srila Prabhupada's presence.
Well, very precious. They actually teach me. I mean, I live now with this wonderful family, Indian family. And because I was living at the temple, but I got flooded.
Oh.
So, yeah, there was a huge storm. I mean, that's the storm that my god sister Kamalini.
Yes, a couple of months back.
Same storm. I had about 4, 5, 6 inches of water where I was. So immediately that will go in the other question about how Krishna gives protection, Prabhupada gives protections. Is that okay? Can we go in that question?
Sure. Please share with us. How did Srila Prabhupada offer protection?
He offers so much protection. When I was a young girl, I joined, I was 19. So when I was a young girl, I wanted to be married. And I went to Rukmini Dwarkadish, Shri Rukmini Dwarkadish in Los Angeles at that time. And I prayed to the deities, if I get married, please let it arrange that will increase my Sankirtan. I think Krishna, when he heard that prayer, his ears became very big. It took a long time. I was a brahmacharini for 7.5 years. But then I married this Sankirtan devotee who was a Sankirtan leader. And to this day, now he is 76 years old and he loves to do books. And to this day, he still gives me rides for Sankirtan. And he takes care of our son also. He's a very, very compassionate soul and kind soul. But I was living at the temple up to now because I like the atmosphere of the temple, and I like the morning program and all that. So they have a morning program here. But as soon as there was the flood, that night, it was 10 o'clock at night, there was a very nice devotee, Aditya Narayan Prabhu. He is like the temple president and a congregation president. And he was the congregation president. And he came, we called him. He came and he says, come to my house. And I had 3 guests. And he took 3 ladies. He took all of us to his house that night. And after that, this wonderful Indian family that I'm living with now, they took me in. And they have a nice morning program. They say all the prayers in the morning before they go to work. They say the Gurvastakam. They say the Tulsi Devi prayers. Then the Guru Puja. Then the Lord Nishigadev prayer. All that, in a concentrated form. And then they go to work. And they are such beautiful devotees. I'm convinced in my heart that Krishna sent me here to become a better devotee. They have so much love and so much compassion. And so Srila Prabhupada, because Srila Prabhupada has created this wonderful, wonderful family. And Srila Prabhupada, when he left the planet, he said, if you love me, you will cooperate. And I heard this class by Radhanath and Shashika Prabhu, that they speak about the big trees in the, I think it's in the Amazon forest. Yes, it's in the Amazon forest. And when there is a storm there, even the smallest tree doesn't get destroyed because they have a system of roots. And their roots are deep and they all intertwine. And because their roots are intertwined, they can withstand any storm. So that example did a big deal for me after the flood because we had a lot of trees that fell. We have many trees that stand by themselves, but they seem strong. But actually, it's the trees that cooperate with each other, that mingle in their roots with love. They remain strong. And that's the way ISKCON is going to remain strong. And I see in the community that I live, there is so much love. Not only I have this family that I live with. When I want to do Sankirtan, I have another family that lives about an hour from here. And they're both working also, and I hop on buses to do my Sankirtan. And they are such a wonderful family also, Indian family. And they give me a room. The Prabhu goes sleep on the floor downstairs because they only have a 2-bedroom apartment, townhouse. The Prabhu goes on the floor downstairs. He gives me his room with the bathroom. And they are happy to be, I'm like the grandma. Isn't that protection? It's wonderful protection. Imagine how many old ladies in America are lonely in their apartment. Their children don't necessarily want to take care of them, or they end up in a nursing home. Another thing that I want to speak about protection is that for 11 years and a half, I took care of a Vaishnavi. She was older than me. She was 11 years older than me. When we were in St. Louis, she was a professional lady that she was going for a PhD. Intelligent lady, nice lady. And she came to visit the temple in St. Louis. There was a restaurant there. And I was, and she said, well, I don't like so much the place where I am. I'm attending a conference, but I don't like the atmosphere. I said, oh, you can come in the ashram. So I invited her for the night. I forgot to tell her about Mongol Aarti. So when I woke her up that morning, she came to Mongol Aarti and she thought they were all crazy. But then, little by little, we spoke to her, we gave her books, we cultivated her. And she became a full-time initiated devotee. And later on in life, she came to North Carolina, where I live now. She moved from St. Louis because we all moved, but at a different time. So she came, and she was teaching in colleges and like that. And one day she had a heart attack. And because of that, because she had no family, she found herself in a nursing home for 9 months. Very sad. I mean, she was really on her way out. And my husband, who was very compassionate, went to see her many times, almost every day, every 2 days. And he would read to her. And he would bring her prasadam sometimes. And then he managed to get her out of that nursing home. And we arranged an apartment for her on her nickel, because she was not able to. At that point, she became a little bit like a child. She had little, like very intelligent people. Sometimes they become like that at the end when they are older.
Mm.
So she couldn't take care of herself. So Srila Prabhupada has arranged that at one point, my husband kind of whispered under his breath. He said, if you don't take care of her, she'll die. So I went to live with her. And everybody was telling me she'll be gone in 6 months because she looked like she had very serious disease, a diabetes, heart attack, so many things. But I really liked her, She's a nice person. So instead of 6 months, it lasted 11 years. And 11 years and a half. And during this 11 years, because she was a professional lady, even though she had taken initiation 3 times, she never had read Bhagavad Gita. So all I had to tell her was, Krishna is giving you another chance. So why don't you read 2 pages of Bhagavad Gita every day? Because she loved to read. She started reading Bhagavad Gita, and she read it many, many times, the time that I took care of her. And she read the whole Srimad Bhagavatam. And she read half of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Then she passed away. But not only that, when I first started taking care of her, she was a little covered. She had forgotten about things. So I helped her a little bit with that. And she loved Srila Prabhupada's biography. So every single day, we watched Abhay Charan. And we watched it for hours. She must have watched Abhay Charan close to 100, close to 1,000 times. I'm serious. The whole series. And see how Srila Prabhupada came to her and gave her protection. Her at the end of her life, so much. She had the opportunity to make spiritual advancement, and I made a lot of spiritual advancement taking care of her. And she actually taught me how to love more. She taught me so many things like when you serve someone that's incapacitated, there's a lot of growth that takes place in your own heart, and it kind of makes you a better person, So Prabhupada has arranged like that. It is so beautiful. I've been in many nursing homes, and the people are just waiting there. They're waiting for death with a blank look on their face, being drugged up. It's horrible. And Srila Prabhupada is giving us such a wonderful life. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. That was a wonderful answer to Srila Prabhupada is offering protection on so many different levels. Many levels. Yes.
Oh, one thing I want to say is that this movement is giving protection to everyone. Women, men, children, even flowers. Because when flowers are offered, they become human beings. Next life. One devotee, a gardener, he said, what happened with all these flowers? He said, well, they take human birth. So, and all the food that we offer, they are getting, the plants are getting blessed. The animals are getting prasada. This movement is offering protection to every soul on the planet. It is such a beautiful movement.
That's so beautiful.
Srila Prabhupada.
So if I can ask you, how did Srila Prabhupada engage you in service?
Well, the first 6 months, I did the laundry for all the devotees in the Montreal temple. And it was one of these machines that you must not have seen. It was just a tub that was electric, but then you had to go through every piece of cloth by hand, had to go through a wringer. So it took all day. We were very poor at the temple at that time, It was an old bowling alley. The temple that was open, So then one devotee, his name was... Anyway, it will come back to me in a few minutes. Anyway, he asked me to go on Sankirtan. And at that time, We were 6 brahmacharinis sleeping on the floor in one room. And we had a curtain. And I ran behind the curtain. I was so scared. I went in the back of the brahmacharini ashram and I thought, I don't want to go out. I love the temple. But then they encouraged me. And once I went out, then I started loving it, you know? I started connecting with people and giving them books. And I experienced happiness, strength, happy to come back to the temple and all that. So then he engaged me on Sankirtan. But then, for many, many, many years. But then when I came to North Carolina, then of course I was married, so I, raised my son, took care of my husband, but we always went on Sankirtan. We always went. My husband would take care of my son on the parking lot when he was a baby, and he would bring him to every gym when he was 7 or 8 years old. And he facilitated me so kindly, he still does. And but I always felt in my heart that I wanted to be a little more well-rounded. So when I came to North Carolina, I was offered a little bit of deity service, like an RT a week and making sweets for deities. And now I did 1 or 2. For many years, I did about 3 sweets, 4 sweets a week for the daily sweets for the deities. And yesterday I made 2 sweets, and I love to make sweets for the deities. And but I still go, just once a week now, and there's the Sankirtan and reading, and I like to cultivate, speak to devotees and encourage them. And I like to, he engage me in taking care of that lady, of that devotee, Prabhupada engagement, taking care of that devotee. But at the same time, I went on Sankirtan and did my service at the temple.
Wow.
It's all good. Good. I would do it again and again and again. Yeah.
That's a life completely dedicated to Srila Prabhupada's service.
It's mercy. It's the best thing I can do with my life.
So you've shared with us how you're serving in the Gurukula, how you're serving by extending yourself to devotees in different capacities. Now I'm thinking about the future, the next generation. Do you believe that it is important for the next generation who are not Srila Prabhupada's disciples to develop a personal relationship with Srila Prabhupada? If yes, then how can we do that?
Oh, yes, it's essential. Srila Prabhupada is the Shiksha Guru for this whole movement, and he's still here. And that's for sure. He guides this movement. And, I've seen through the years, physically, it was so difficult for everyone. It was, all these young men who were very dedicated, and you did a lot of service, actually. They are great souls. But there is a but. They didn't know overnight how to become a guru. That was a challenge for them. And when you learn something as it needs to be done, of course, there will be some shortcomings. And I've seen, it's not that they wanted to have shortcomings, it's just that nobody is Srila Prabhupada. They don't have the same, nobody claims to have the same spiritual capacity. They can't. So they did as much as they could, and it's good. It's very good, and it's necessary. They are initiating, they are giving shelter, they are helping in so many wonderful ways. But sometimes there is some difficulty. They experience difficulty, and I don't blame them for that, because it's like a mother. If she has 1,000 children, of course she'll have difficulty. So that's what we are asking from our gurus. they're having so many disciples. Some of the disciples are not following exactly. It creates pain, it creates difficulty for them. So if the disciples are linked up to Srila Prabhupada by reading his books daily, um, listening to a little bit of his lectures daily on the top of their spiritual master, it also creates a very important atmosphere in his. All the devotees are centered on Srila Prabhupada and honoring and loving their guru and appreciating what their guru is doing for them. That's very important. But I've heard so many times the guru, the young gurus saying, or the older gurus now, saying, if there wasn't a Srila Prabhupada, I couldn't be your guru. So it creates an atmosphere that is unifying in ISKCON. If everyone is relationship with Srila Prabhupada, because now it's not, with young devotees sometimes in the beginning, they think my guru, my guru, my guru, my guru, my guru is the best. And if they start thinking like that, then it may be, yes, it's the best for you, and that's great. It's great. It's good. It's wonderful. But Srila Prabhupada is the best guru, and everyone is cooperating. All the gurus are serving on, and that's very beautiful, very necessary. They are doing a great job, but they need to, if the disciples feel some difficulty, or sometimes, I will tell you a story that happens to me, is that whenever I was having difficulty or doubting my authority, that we had all kinds of temple presidents, some better than others, and it's growing into that. So I would write a letter to Srila Prabhupada when I felt that I couldn't go on anymore, that things were too difficult. I would sit down, take 10-15 minutes, write a letter to Srila Prabhupada, and always received an answer. The letter never physically got there. But Srila Prabhupada doesn't need physical letters. He's spirit soul. He hears us crying out as spirit souls too. And the answer came in different ways. Sometimes it came through devotees. Sometimes, if I was on Sankirtan, it came through non-devotees. But sometimes it came by opening a verse from Bhagavad Gita. But the answer always came, always made me stronger. So that can be done from any devotee in ISKCON. We can write to Srila Prabhupada, and he will guide, and he will reassure us, strengthen us, pacify us, help us out. We need all the help we can get.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. I think I love that. Srila Prabhupada is our, like you said, Shiksha Guru, and if we are all connected to him, then that is the way of unifying ISKCON and keeping it strong for years and years to come. We are almost nearing on the end of our interview, but I was wondering if you could share only one thing about Srila Prabhupada, what would you like people to know?
Well, what popped in my head is a very sweet thing that he did. At one time, I don't know if it's appropriate, but one time this devotee came from Vrindavan, and it was the first time. It's a memory of Srila Prabhupada. I learned about it in a memory of Srila Prabhupada, and I thought that was very, very sweet, because this devotee, she was playing the mridanga and singing and dancing, and Srila Prabhupada connected and gave her mercy. And even though later on he said was not really, she actually later on, she said, he explained to his disciple to not follow her because she was not following properly. Yeah. But when she came to him, he gave her mercy. That's the first time that Srila Prabhupada danced. And he was dancing with his arms in the air and like that. And he honored her, even though she was not uh, at the proper um, level that would be desired, to follow disciplic succession and do all that. But he still gave her mercy. And I think that's very, very beautiful of Srila Prabhupada, that whoever approached him, in whatever state they were, he had a way of giving them Krishna's love. And from that person made progress automatically. It's like if somebody gives you Krishna's love, of course you will progress. So even if she was not in the proper situation, he gave her mercy. And that's very beautiful.
Indeed. I think for me, my takeaway would be writing to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you. That's such a beautiful thought. So, my final question was regarding the book. Could you share how did you happen to participate and why did you choose to participate in the book?
Well, yeah, I have affection for Babu Mataji, whatever you like to call it. I have affection for her. I think she did such wonderful service to Srila Prabhupada. She loves Srila Prabhupada so much. Sometimes when she does a kirtan, I know when she was traveling one time and I was with her, and she was doing this beautiful kirtan, and I was near her and I couldn't stop crying because I could feel Srila Prabhupada's presence. So when she came to me, I wanted to participate. I wanted to help her, I wanted to assist her, in whatever. And she was so kind to me many, many times. She was very, she's very kind. And it's good that she does that because I also had another Vaishnavi. She passed away now. She was my Sankirtan leader. And it was a mother, Krishna, please. I had another blank on name, but anyway, she always wanted to write a book about what we did for, we were a party of Vaishnavis, Sankirtan, yes. And she wanted to write a book, but then she passed away before she was able to. So when Malati Prabhu came and wanted to do that, I thought, oh, I better do it now.
Yes.
Yes. And it's nice. It's very enlivening to you hear from some devotees that you didn't hear for so many years, and you connect, and it's a family,
True.
I remember some devotees from Montreal, some devotees from so many temples that I know. It's nice. It's a nice offering of love to Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah. So we are grateful to Malti Prabhu for bringing it as well as so many other Vaishnavis.
Yes.
This interview as well as the book is not just for us, but it is for generations to come. These are precious memories of Srila Prabhupada. So thank you for sharing all that you have shared with us. Do you have any closing remarks for tonight?
Well, yeah, I always think that gratefulness and happiness are two twin brothers. And we have so much to be grateful because of Srila Prabhupada. And that gratefulness will only increase our happiness. And when we share that happiness, then it multiplies exponentially. Is that the word? Is that the word?
Exponentially.
Exponentially?
Yes.
Is that it? Yeah. So it's English as my second language.
So
So that that gratefulness and brings that happiness, and to share that happiness multiplies it. Jai Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada's mission and sharing it. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Grace Sadhvi Devi Dasi ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai. Haribol.
Haribol.